Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review, where today I review the fourth Doctor story, The Deadly Assassin, originally broadcast on BBC One in October 1976. Just in case you don't know the plot, the fourth Doctor is returning to his home planet after receiving a vision from the future that the Lord President of Gallifrey will be assassinated. The Doctor's attempts to save the President's life has been thwarted, and now he has been framed for the murder. However, the real assassin is still at large, whose accomplice has a far more sinister and deadlier motive against the Time Lords and for his old adversary, the Doctor. This story is the Doctor's big return to Gallifrey since, well, the Three Doctors. We've never really seen the Doctor at his home planet, so this is a big first, really, in the world of Doctor Who, and it comes with a bit of a double-edged sword for me, particularly in The Deadly Assassin. I mean, the Citadel looks great. I thought the big sets for inside the main Citadel, I thought was really impressive for its time and, of course, on Doctor Who's budget. But there's some areas where it could have been a bit more imaginative. So, for example, the character of Runcible, who's like just basically this TV journalist reporter, sort of like something that you'll see at like a royal coronation or a royal wedding or something like that. So it just, I don't know, there's something that's just not quite right, that like these sort of powerful beings known as the Time Lords are just sit around watching TV and stuff, and they could, that's fine and plausible, but it would have been better if he was just like this recording historian. He's sort of like speaking, either doing like a sort of dictaphone type of sort of thing, so he's sort of like visually, or actually visually, or audioly recording this big moment in Time Lord history for the Matrix or something, for example. I thought that might have been a bit better. This story also sees the big return of the Master since the untimely death of Roger Delgado back in 1973, and the way they sort of introduced the reveal of the Master, I felt was a little bit underwhelming. So the scene was Runcible found his camera technician being turned into an Action Man doll, basically, which I thought was quite funny. They couldn't even even he just clearly looked like an Action Man doll, even with like the little hook hands that they have. There was just no way of getting around that whatsoever. It just, yeah, doesn't wasn't very plausible. But then the Doctor saying, "Oh, this was the calling card of the Master, my deadliest enemy." And then you sort of, maybe just a bit before that, you have the big reveal of this hooded figure, this very much disfigured person, and it turns out to be the Master, basically using the last vestige of his form. He's decaying, decrepit state. This is his last incarnation, which, again, another big moment here. This was the first story that introduced the rule of 13 incarnations, 12 regenerations for Time Lords, and the Master is on his last life. So yeah, I felt that Peter Pratt, who was the Master, I felt his performance was a bit limited with what he can do, because he had this massive mask that showed this decrepit looking face, and it's just not a very good mask in my opinion, with the sort of bulging eyes that he has, and you just see the lips move just slightly. It just really did hamper his performance, and it wasn't a bad performance from him. It was just, obviously, had so much limitations by using this style of costume. Really, they should have gone for a makeup style option like they did for the Keeper of Traken, and they clearly have got the budgets to do that, because we saw that with Eldrad in the previous story, The Hand of Fear. So they really should have gone with sort of like this decrepit, scarring looking makeup, so that you can actually see his lips move, and that would have been a lot a better sort of look for the Master. And especially like with the veins on his hands as well. They look like burnt Nintendo Power Gloves or something like that. Even though obviously Nintendo Power Gloves didn't exist at that point. But yeah, it just basically I loved that the Master was back. I thought the way of introducing the Master in this story was good because obviously there was so much left on the table with this character. So I thought it was a right way of bringing him back. Obviously, with Roger Delgado doing an amazing job as the Master, he is the definitive Master at the end of the day. But the makeup really did hamper this big reveal and the way he was introduced. It was kind of just dropped in. There was, this should have been a really good cliffhanger. What is an absolute positive for this story is Tom Baker's dominating performance as the Fourth Doctor. It's probably one of my favourite performances from his era of Doctor Who, and you can tell that he was relishing this story with him being the without having any companion. It was just his full-on show going on there. This is the story that had no companion whatsoever, and something that's very much a rare feat these days. Obviously, we said goodbye to Sarah Jane Smith in the previous story, The Hand of Fear, and obviously we get to be introduced to Leela, the new full-time companion in the face of evil. But here, it's the Doctor going out on his own, and this was something that Tom Baker was pushing to do so for quite a long time, and Philip Hinchcliffe yielded, and they picked this story as a bit of an experiment to see if that can be done full time. And yeah, I don't think you could really. I think it's better that the Doctor bouncing off the companion, obviously not going into explaining everything, but yeah, the audience is through the companion's eyes in a sense. So the Doctor just spieling off all his technobabble and just polishing it all off with a kettle and some string, it would get a bit tiresome, I would say. Tom Baker's performance is certainly enhanced by being surrounded by fantastic character actors and characters, starting off with Eric Chitty as coordinator Engine. Now, I know Eric from the comedy series from the 60s, Please Sir. I'm not that old, I promise you. I just watch a lot of old stuff. But I'd like the double act between Engine and the Castellan, played by George Privada, who has been in Doctor Who before in The Enemy of the World and The Mutants. I really enjoyed Hugh Walters' performance as Runcible, who we later see make a return in the Sixth Doctor story, Revelation of the Daleks, as Vogel. But Runcible is just like this really feeble-minded, he's the TV presenter guy, but yeah, it's just like an over-the-top type of character, something that you sort of borderline on panto, but it's just a fun little bit of performance there by Hugh Walters. And in my opinion, an absolute Doctor Who legend in my eyes, Bernard Horsfall, who this time plays Chancellor Goth. And he has been in Doctor Who numerous times previously in stories The Mind Robber, The War Games, and Planet of the Daleks. And you never get a dull performance from Bernard. He played off extremely well with Tom Baker. I love those scenes between him and the Doctor as they both enter the Matrix and trying to fight each other. They are some really good scenes, even though not all the scenes stick the landing in terms of, well, the train one, that cliffhanger, that infamous cliffhanger. But yeah, it's what helps is just they all knew from these actors, they all know how to sort of do Doctor Who. Some guest stars just sort of fail miserably, but these performers just not only knew what to do, but relished in the role, took it seriously, but sort of played up through it at the same time. And just, like I said, just really enhanced the story. It does help that these are some fantastic characters written by Robert Holmes, the legend that is Robert Holmes. So that also helps. And another character that I really enjoyed was the little sort of play off between sort of master and student, between the Doctor and Barusa. With the Doctor saying, "Oh, sir, thank you, sir," and all that kind of thing, and the 9 out of 10 Doctor perform, sort of like it's a shame really that they didn't take that sort of character development of the sort of mentor and student relationship into the 5 Doctors. That was kind of dropped a little bit in my opinion, and that would have really enhanced the big reveal for the 5 Doctors when it comes to Barusa. I'm going to give The Deadly Assassin a TARDIS rating of 7 out of 10. This is very much a imaginative story, bringing the world of Gallifrey to life, and is definitely worthy as being one of the good Robert Holmes stories, even though some of the shortcomings that I mentioned earlier in this review and some of the sort of criticism about the makeup of the Master, the characters that was written by Robert Holmes really sort of make up for the shortcomings in this story. It does certainly make it a big sort of moment for me. Like I said, the Doctor coming back home to Gallifrey. I do feel that they try everything to make this feel like a big story throughout the season. Especially with the music score by Dudley Simpson. I think he made some of the more scenes between the Doctor and Goth more memorable, especially the Hunter versus Prey scenes when the Doctor and the and Goth in the Matrix. It was good for the Doctor to return home to Gallifrey and really build on the mythos surrounding the Time Lords and Gallifreyan society, especially the corrupt side of Time Lord society, especially when them rewriting the history of this whole sordid affair between the president's assassination and the horrible sort of reveal of Goth and what they were going to do with that, turn him into basically a noble hero that fought the good fight, and kind of sort of sweep the Doctor aside from that part of history. It sort of reflects on what happens in modern world, and definitely how historical events can be perceived. I do recommend that you check out this 4-part adventure if you haven't already. You can do on DVD or also on streaming service BritBox or ITVX on a premium subscription in the UK. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts to The Deadly Assassin. Is this one of your favourite 4th Doctor stories? And what did you think about the return of the Master? Next time on Time Wimey Review, I'm quite excited for this one. I haven't done this before on this channel. I'm going to be reviewing the collective tin sets, VHS tin sets, that was released back in 1993 that you can see behind me there, the TARDIS and the Dalek tin sets. So I'm going to have a bit of a retrospective, fun look at those. Until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the cloister bell for more notifications, come say hello, and follow me on Twitter at ReviewTimey, and do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who content, also on TikTok, but right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. And as the good doctor once said, I just felt my hair curl. That means it's either going to rain or else I'm onto something.